I call the order. The meeting of the Park Board of the City of Connersville of Indiana is now in session. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Harold, would you lead that?
Yes, I will.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Kinsey, would you do the roll call, please?
Scott Favor.
Here.
Terry Pfeiffer.
Here.
Amy Kirshner.
Here.
Jeff Cooley. Bang Lashwa. Harold Gordon.
Here. All right, got the reading of the minutes. Any additions or corrections that anybody picked up after they went through?
I did want to say this too. At the end of the motion about who made the motion to approve the resolutions last week, everything was listed fine, but the numbers were wrong on the approved resolutions. And our lady has decided to correct that.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, she can get that corrected then. All right, anything else then in the minutes? Okay, need a motion to accept the minutes with the correction.
I so move.
Okay, we got a move.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Minutes are good. All right, new business. One of the first things under new business, bringing up the free Wi-Fi hours. My understanding is they're trying to increase the use of it during the day, so that way they can get more bandwidth or whatever, so people can use it a little better, and then have it toned down after hours, so it's not so easily used. Is that correct?
The city received a grant to upgrade our Wi-Fi in several locations, and one of them is Roberts Park, and they're installing 2 new towers. So our IT director had asked if maybe we wanted to make the Wi-Fi more accessible during when the park is open, and maybe make it slow down when the park is closed, just to discourage, people hanging out at 2 in the morning in the park. So our hours are supposed to be 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So that's all that amounts to.
I think that's a great move.
Yeah, because I know a lot of kids go into the park to do their homework and stuff.
Or they can sit in the parking lot of the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need a motion or something on this, or?
That's really just, they're gonna do it, aren't they?
Well, if we make a motion just to set those hours, and
Okay.
I guess if we get a complaint, we can say it was
Okay.
voted on
So you're saying 6 a.m.
to 10 p.m.
to 10 p.m. Okay. And I think that's,
And is that up and running now, or when will the Wi-Fi be available?
I'll have to ask Ben. He was still working on it. It was Friday was the last time I saw him. So
Because we haven't had free Wi-Fi in the park, have we?
we have,
yeah,
That's
we
worked?
have.
yeah,
It's
it's
just
not very good.
It's very slow
It's very
yeah,
patchy.
it's slow
Okay.
and
Yeah,
and incredibly unreliable.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so,
This is supposed to fix both of those problems. It probably still won't be as fast as we would like, but it's going to hopefully be more reliable.
So just need a motion to accept that the faster hours will be between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m.
So moved.
Okay, I got Vane.
I'll second it.
You got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. All right, put that in there. Hopefully they can get that up and running very soon. All right, next we have Jennifer Tucker on the horse stall rental. She's here tonight to discuss that. One of the issues, I believe, I don't know if everybody read in the packet there, discussing late fees and the late rental. Okay. So did you get a copy of the contract?
I did.
Okay, so as of now, you do know all the rules and regulations that went along with that contract, correct? Okay. Are you current at this point in time?
Yes.
Okay, that includes late fees?
I'm not 100% sure. I might owe a little bit more because I wasn't. Do you have
Yeah, she's what, $160?
Yeah, she
Short
still
in
owes
late fees.
$160 in late fees.
Okay. All right.
was it you that I informed that I would be in on Friday to pay all the late fees in this coming month?
Yeah, you told me that you would be in and make the late fees when you made your November payment.
Yeah, that's Friday.
But
Okay.
fees were due.
So you've made it current because according to the contract, if you're not paid on the first of the month and you're 2 months late, you get the letter, okay, eviction letter. And that's why you got the letter, okay? So at this point in time, yes, I understand you're current, but, the contract states first of the month. Okay? So at this point in time, I mean, you're telling me you're gonna make everything good come the first of the month. My thing is you knew that from the get-go, it was always the first of the month, so what am I supposed to do?
I thought it was due on the 10th of every month, but the reason that we got behind was on August 30th, our house started battling COVID.
Okay?
And I have 5 people in my house, so we was quarantined for the whole month of September.
Okay,
Sorry, can you come up to the podium? It's just part of
Yeah, you're on camera
the
now.
deal, yeah.
So that's why everything got behind.
okay, and I understand that has been a little bit of a problem. The other thing is we have a capability of being in contact with Kinsey or Catherine to let them know that you're going through this, you're doing this, you have these problems, okay? To my understanding, there was no contact except here of late, okay? To make everything correct. The month of September, there was no contact, even though something was sent out to let you know you're late. And it's due by the 10th of the month, that is your grace period, okay? It even states that in here as well, okay? So, like I said once before, okay, we're at this point now where you've got your eviction notice. You've got a contract, you've signed it, you know about it. What am I supposed to do? Because how can I trust you at this point in time moving forward?
Well, I've been there a year and this is the first time
Okay,
anything has happened.
right,
I'm not a troublemaker down there. I follow all the rules and
okay,
it's just been just one time.
okay. Is it any other issues down there with her?
I'm not aware, I certainly don't think she's a troublemaker at all.
Okay.
I did go ahead and pull our records from 2020, and it looks like we've been fairly lenient. In February of 2020, you paid on the 19th. In April, you paid on the 14th. In July, you paid on the 14th, and in August, you paid on the 23rd.
Well, see, when we came in, I didn't notice that it was due on the 1st. The lady told me that it was due on the 10th.
Well, the
So I've
19th,
always-
14th, and 23rd are all following the 10th. So it looks like this has been a progressive problem where you haven't been on time really since June. It looks like of this year, you've paid on time 4 times and been late 6 times, including the 2 that we're talking about tonight. The biggest issue for us is we couldn't get a response. Mackenzie even wrote down the times that she tried to contact you with no response. I even asked 2 of the other renters, is Jennifer okay? Has anybody heard from her? That's why we looked at your Facebook. We were like, maybe she broke her leg and she's in the hospital. But there was no communication.
I didn't
So-
receive any text.
Well, we wrote down the dates.
I have the text right here.
I've never received a text.
Okay, what number are you texting, Kinsey?
765-265-1155.
That's my phone number.
Okay,
but I
because it's here on your contract that I have a
Yeah.
copy of, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
And it's also here in your contract, just so you know, all rent is due in full on the first day of each month and must be received no later than the 10th of each month. If payment is not made by the 10th of each month, a $20 late fee will be added each month you are late, okay? So it is in the contract, okay? That first late, no later than the 10th, okay? So if you're not receiving those texts, did you try and call her, Kenzie?
I did, and I didn't write the times that I tried to call, and I called from the office phone, unfortunately, not the cell phone. so.
Okay.
But I know I at least tried 2 times because Catherine and I had, been going back and forth about.
Because that's after
what
she
we
told me
needed to
that,
do.
I said, well, maybe something's happened,
Right.
you know?
Okay, so you're putting us in a tough position. Okay, we've got textings going out, we've got phone calls going out, and we have no communication on your end until here of late. Okay, so once again, you made us look at this in a way, how can we trust you? Okay, I don't know, what do you guys think? I need you guys' input on this.
Are you willing to make it current now?
Now, according to what I understand, she's got everything current but the late fees.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
and I can come in Wednesday to get everything current.
This Wednesday, like.
Yes, this Wednesday, like 2 days.
How's your opinion of the service itself, the stalls and how things have gone?
It's okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that, are,
Any suggestions? I mean, you could write them down and.
honestly, just some upkeep on them would be great. All the stalls are in pretty bad, conditions. We've actually put our own money into the stalls to fix them. And we had to put new limestone down in the bottoms because they were just holes. And some of them are wavy in the bottom, and you can't have a horse stand on that.
But that didn't have anything to do with your payments.
No,
I'd say if you have any complaints, submit them.
you can ask
Oh, I
them, I'm not a
understand.
complainer.
No, you don't
I
sound
just,
like it at all.
if it needs done, we do it down there. I mean, we fix the fences, we fix the stalls, we do, any upkeep that is needed for them. And, I mean, like I said, we're not complainers. So,
But the other side to it is this is pretty cheap rent for horses.
it is,
Okay?
which is why I don't mind,
Right, we don't-
putting in the money to,
We don't claim to have one
Yeah.
of the premier facilities. This is a service. This is a community service.
right,
That's why the rent is so cheap.
right.
So, my thing is like I said, since it is so cheap and, we do try to work with them for the most part, getting behind is, to me, there's no excuse. That's my problem, okay?
Well, I can guarantee you it will not happen again.
So you'll make up the $160 Wednesday?
Yes, and then I will.
And does that include her November rent?
No,
She's paid her, no, she's paid her September, October rent, but not the late fees.
Okay, so she's gonna owe for November 1st.
Yes.
Yes, which I will
So-
be in Friday to pay that.
okay.
I can pay my late fees on Wednesday and I can come in Friday to pay the,
Okay, well, I suggest at this point, and this is what I need from you as well, no more late rent.
okay,
If we're gonna let this slide for this time, if you're late again, I'm gonna have them go ahead and send the eviction notice, and we're not gonna bring it before the board. I'm gonna let her just
okay,
evict you.
that's
All right.
fine.
Okay, so you get one chance.
Okay,
All righty?
well, thank you very much.
All those okay with that? Anybody have any issues with that?
No.
No.
I'll make the motion, we accept that agreement.
Okay. Need a second on that?
I'll second
All right. Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, you can go ahead and go.
You're good.
Unless
We
you
need-
wanna
we need
stay
all
for
in
the
favor?
rest of the-
Yeah, all in favor of
So
that
unless you
motion?
wanna stay for the rest.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Continuing on with the horse stalls. Jennifer Richardson. Is that the one I emailed? No, that's a different name.
No, this is a different renter. This is, forgive me, I can never remember how everyone's related. This is A.B. Jones's daughter. Okay.
Okay, so he's already rented.
Yes.
Okay.
And how many stalls does A.B. have? He had 2 stalls. And when A.B. passed, his daughter Jennifer Richardson came in and signed the contract in her name.
Okay.
Since that time, which that was what, last spring? I
Mhm.
can't remember the dates.
It was.
We had one instance where I personally was in the park and found the great-granddaughter riding one of their horses up top. Like,
Oh, I was there.
were you there that night too?
I was there that night as well.
And I told her to take the horse back to the bottom, and she's I think a teenager, but I felt she was very disrespectful, but she did take the horse back. I called, A.B. was still living at the time, and I told him what had happened, and he assured me that he would talk with her, and this wouldn't happen again. And this is also in the contract.
I was gonna say, it states in there, no riding outside the grounds. No, on the
Oh, it's
park
number
grounds,
13.
park grounds and
It's extremely
grassy areas.
dangerous,
Yeah.
obviously, to other people visiting the park, not to mention the waste that can happen from a horse. But not more than a few months later, I think this was after A.B. had passed, another person sent me a photo of the same great-granddaughter on the basketball courts, on the horse. They sent me a picture of it. So I called Jennifer, and I spoke with her, and I said, this is the second time. If this happens again, I'm going to recommend you be evicted to the park board. Then Dennis and I were at one of the movie nights.
That's the one I was at.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the one I was at.
yeah. This one was the most recent time. I forget what that was. That was in September. Same thing. We were walking back toward where the movie was being shown, and we saw her up the top of. Now she was behind the fence, but you're supposed to be on the track. I mean, everybody that rents down there knows the bottom is the bottom, the top of the hill is the top. She had several other adolescents with her climbing around the barbed wire. Again, was very disrespectful. Said that she didn't know, she didn't understand. I told her, I've personally told you myself before. Anyway, so again, she takes the horse down. So we've had 3 instances of this. And then Friday, I got a call from another renter who told me that this same great-granddaughter was in the barn with, again, multiple friends her age, just causing chaos, causing trouble with her and her husband. There was some type of altercation that came of it. To me, I feel that the family has been told that these issues are happening. So I would recommend that I send her also an eviction letter. It's just, I don't feel that after, especially with having that horse out in the park, I don't feel that I can trust, I can trust them. I'm afraid somebody's going to get hurt, and you can't take that back once it happens. So, and then now that, there are other renters who are having altercations with this person, and that's also in the contract, that, you're not supposed to leave children unattended, you're not supposed to have parties in the barn, it's not a place for, playing around. I just feel like it's multiple violations of their contract. But I have not sent them anything. I just got that call on Friday. And again, this renter told me too that she was very disrespectful to her and her husband.
Can I say something on that?
I think Jennifer was there too.
Okay.
I witnessed a lot of that.
You gotta come back up here,
Yep,
sorry.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I witnessed them yelling at other renters. One of them also went and yelled at my son as he was putting our horse out in the paddock.
Mhm.
And so it's been a confrontation.
This teenage girl,
The mother,
the mother,
Oh,
okay? All right,
so.
okay, so there's a little bit of it.
and she was not the person that called about.
Yes, I'm not the
about-
person that called, but
Okay.
I was hearing this and.
Okay. All right, thank you, appreciate it. Okay. Well, in light of all this information that's being shared here on this, I don't think we can hesitate. We can't have people, that drives the people that are there, that are paying and trying to take care of things, out, don't want to be there. The liability of getting a horse up in the park grounds. And
That is just unacceptable.
Yeah,
Well, that should have been, I mean, that is number 13. It states, do not ride horses in Roberts Park, period.
Yep.
Use track area only.
Yep.
It's very uncomplicated.
Yep. So I think you need to cite all those, that information, put it in a letter, send the notice, all those, anybody against doing that at this point in time. I don't think
I
we
think if
can
for any
be.
kind of notice like that, we need to do chapter and verse, but that's not gonna be difficult to do according to this provision of the
Right,
contract.
exactly.
These are the ones that
Number
you have,
12 and number 13.
these are the ones that you have violated.
Right.
Yeah,
It states simple in there,
Yeah.
violation of those rules do lead to eviction. So, I make a motion that we send the letter.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the date for them to vacate the barn then? I think
I think you send the letter 5 days from,
that's the
Receipt of
rule
the
for
letter.
the late, yeah.
I think
so
we need to
5
do
days
say-
from then.
Mhm.
Okay.
now, you should probably send that certified,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
okay?
Yeah.
That way it's 5 days of receipt, because you will get a receipt back at that point in time, okay? I would definitely send that certified, okay? Because you know they got it
Do
then.
they usually come into the office to pay their monthly rent?
Yeah, we're gonna,
You see them,
we'll owe them, cause I paid through them for
Oh, they did, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, so
that's
she'll be
okay.
issued a
We'll get a
refund
refund.
then. I'll put that in the letter too.
yep, just let them know that,
They'll be issued a refund for,
Have they received a warning besides the letter?
You called them all.
besides
I
your-
have not sent anything in writing. I have spoken with Jennifer.
Okay.
And I've spoken with the great-granddaughter
okay?
twice.
It doesn't matter at this point, I feel,
I think we'd
because,
be safer though. I honestly think we'd be safer since we have not notified them in writing, verbal things like that. And if they were to come back and try to sue us, for example, if we did not notify that, an eviction is very serious, if we did not warn them in writing at some point in time, I think we might, I don't know. I think we just might be a little shaky.
all right, the other thing, because it is stated in writing here on these certain rules, okay? Like it says, note number 13, do not ride horses in Roberts Park.
Okay.
Okay, that is in writing, and it was witnessed. So,
Well,
My-
number,
I agree
But
with you, I
it's a-
agree
it's a
with you.
It's a notification issue.
Right,
It's a-
exactly.
It's a notification issue, is on this date had,
Right,
when you saw the great-granddaughter riding in the park on that date, if you had notated the date and sent them a
Violation notice.
a violation notice
Right.
at that time, that kind of sets up the precedence. In other words, they could come back and say, well, I don't remember that conversation,
Right.
or
My granddaughter didn't tell me that.
my
I was told.
granddaughter didn't tell me that, and
Mhm.
you know, teenagers.
What about,
Well, we also have number 20 that says decisions of the superintendent are final, which may include expulsion from the horse farms.
okay.
And if she wants to appeal, it can be brought through the Board of Works. And I would much rather be sued over $30 a month in rent than sued over someone being trampled by a horse.
Oh,
I agree with you there.
That-
The only other thing I guess.
If it wasn't that.
Right. The only other thing
It's
I'd say
3
we could
times.
try and do is reach out to city attorney real quick. Make a phone call, say, hey,
I
we've
can
got
talk
this
to Jeff.
issue, say,
And I
Jeff.
can, and if he agrees, I mean, he would be more than happy to send the letter through the attorney's
Right.
office.
that
So-
might be the best.
Right,
Yes.
That might be the best course of action, because an eviction is a legal notice. So coming from the city's attorney's office, that might have a lot more,
right.
might get their attention a little bit better, and their memories might get a little bit better about what they signed.
Okay. All right, why don't we do that just to keep everything,
So I'll withdraw my second.
Well,
Thanks.
no, I
Yeah.
think I
We
should
still
go
need-
and say the park board
Yeah.
has,
you need to say the park board
Voted.
has agreed to
Yeah,
send
but
that.
this is the course of action that
Rules and-
we're agreeing on.
Yeah, I agree with that. We need to stand behind
Okay.
this, okay? Because, yeah, we don't want to get anybody, up in the park hurt.
I mean, I think this is the first time we've ever had some
Yeah.
to evict anybody, isn't it?
I don't recall
I,
in the
it's
years
my-
I've been,
second,
Second.
is it? Who was the other one?
BJ's dad.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember that one now, never mind. Memories,
Yeah.
not as good as it used to be. All right,
Well, and two, I mean, having those, like Dennis and I were saying the night of the movie, you know, you can't allow a group of teenagers on the loose with a horse.
right,
I mean, not to mention all the trouble that could ensue with that, but, I mean, obviously, climbing in barbed wire, just
Mm.
all around bad decision-making.
yeah, the horse gets away, the child falls off the horse while it's up on the hill, rolls down the hill.
Unsaddled,
Right, there was no saddle on that horse that night, so, the damage that could have happened to the young girl alone,
yeah.
could
And then
be,
who's going to,
right, then
be sued.
the city's
Yeah.
on the hook.
Well,
that point in time.
if, in the contract, it says that minors must be supervised, this kid was not 18 years old.
I
So
don't
tech,
believe she is.
so
She's
technically,
not.
so if this child is not 18 years old, technically it goes upon the parent for any damage or liabilities that their child has in an unsupervised situation. So,
But, tell that to the legal system,
Yeah.
that's why we need a letter from the city attorney.
right, so, the legal system has a way of muddying up the water.
Yes,
so.
I would agree with that.
Oh, I see, yeah. We're not responsible for any injury due to parental neglect of a dependent.
Mhm.
Right, so,
It is the responsibility of the parent to oversee the activities. So
so,
that's another kind of violation.
Yes, it is,
yeah, because clearly the intent of that was if you're gonna let your kid ride the horse, you have to be there and they have to ride it on the bottom.
mhm,
And that's a double, unless that parent was there watching the kid, so that becomes a double violation, and the parent becomes culpable on two of those issues.
And another thing too, Catherine, I think maybe we ought to set up something where a person is in violation, we send them a letter, that way keep everything on the,
Right,
keep the records of everything.
We have everybody's email at this point, don't we? I will just start sending emails just
Mhm.
because it's instantaneous.
right,
Okay.
yeah,
Unless it's I mean, we could even send eviction notices that way. That way there's no delay.
right.
Cause I'm like,
Well, the
I'm
only
like
thing
Ann.
about-
Those need to be
The
certified.
note, yeah, the
Certified
eviction
mail.
notice is probably still gonna have to be certified just because you have a paper trail,
right.
okay?
Yeah.
That's a big thing with
We usually
anything.
don't have any issues,
Right,
that's why
I know.
it's kind of,
Yeah, anytime we're dealing with stuff like this, the paper trail is what everybody wants.
Right.
Okay.
And that protects us.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the
All right.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the whole-
it's a
All right.
two-edged sword in that
Yeah.
respect.
Let's move forward with what we're doing, stick with the motion
Okay.
to send the eviction notice, get a hold of Jeff and have him work that up though, okay? Not from us, from the city attorney.
And maybe, and like I said, maybe work up something from now on to where if somebody does violate, you can send them and we can keep like Scott
we'll just
said.
start emailing it.
Okay.
Okay, all right, very good.
We should probably do that.
Class dojo. Class dojo for adults.
All righty. Okay, let's move on. Our next, new business tonight will be, the Hope Center rental fee.
So you guys got
Got that letter.
this
and the
laid out in
emails.
your packet.
Thank you.
And I'll let Mackenzie speak to this too if you have more questions, because she's the one that,
Okay, I'm confused. After I read all this, dating back to July 15th, 2021, and then the other email was
October,
October.
I did not know.
That, well,
And I
that was
told
just,
Jennifer too. Jennifer, there's so many Jennifers tonight.
I know.
Jennifer Young. I told her, I said, you know, I do not know why Carrie would tell you that
right,
rate.
because we had went through all this earlier in the year about all these rentals.
I
When
don't know
did
what
we
hat she
pass-
pulled that out of. I was not aware that that's what Jennifer had been told.
When
And I
did we
said, I can
pass that,
certainly
though,
understand
That
it.
was,
When did, and, because
was-
this came
that
up.
was in the
at
spring,
Yeah, but
right,
this came
before
up at,
prom.
yeah, this came up at the time though, as, somebody that did it all. I think we knew that Hope Center was going to rent it at the time that we changed that. And maybe there was a communication issue.
No, she came for their first bingo. They have two big events.
Right,
And I know she came to Park Board for bingo, and I know that we had come to some agreement, but we never discussed their banquet.
Right.
no,
So, but I understand where she's coming from, having received this email. So that's why I said you know, our rates are by ordinance. I can't just tell you I'm gonna charge you a different rate. It's gonna have to go through the board. So that's why I'm putting it on your plate. It's kind of a awkward situation because she's been told one thing
Yep.
that was inaccurate and
Okay, so at this point in time, with everything that I've read, and I hopefully everybody read everything, okay? Everything I have read to this point and in going back and going through all this, at this stage of the game, we're gonna have to take a loss, okay? We can't go back on her and say, hey, no, we've gotta follow the ordinance, no. This was emailed, she agreed to it, she was in good faith, believing that what she was told was what she was getting, okay? So, I believe that at this stage, we can only ask her to pay for what she was asked to pay,
yeah.
okay?
I'm okay with that.
But moving forward, she needs to understand.
What I plan to do, I was waiting for this meeting. We have a list of 5 or 6 nonprofits that regularly have large events at the Miller Building or the Roberts Building. And there has been somewhat of a precedent set for them getting a discounted rate. And then we tried to use our form. We tried that for a little while with them coming before Park Board. But I'm gonna go ahead and send them all an email and copy Scott and say, you know, as of, you know, right now, you know, just so we're all on the same page, the park rents facilities per an ordinance. You know, we do not have the authority to rent you something at a different rate. So there's no more coming to park board. It's just, if you find the nonprofit rate unacceptable, then, you know, the mayor does have his 10 city-sponsored events. But other than that, we really don't have another option for you.
Right.
And we have a clear rate table someplace.
Yes, and and I can attach that to
Yeah,
it too.
that
That's a
would be
good
good
idea.
Get it clear.
Just to make it out there again, like, because I can understand there being some confusion. But I think that, you know, we need to make sure that everybody understands, you know, the rates are the rates. You know, they're approved by the Board of Works, they're approved by City Council, they're adopted as ordinances, they're not just some
Right.
wishy-washy guideline that we kind of sort of go by, so.
Well, like the thing that confused me is the $500 a day.
Yeah.
Now that's 10 hours at $50 a day, an hour, or it, you
That's
know,
for the entire building for an entire day.
Right.
Which,
And-
like as Mackenzie said before, you know, that's actually a heck of a lot cheaper than paying 30 for the gym, 30 for the banquet hall, 20 for room A, 20 for room B, 50 for the kitchen, and multiplying that by however many hours you're in there.
right.
Our rates are very reasonable.
But it would be.
I don't
good
feel
to
like we're-
get a, you know, a clear table of what the units are. So people.
Oh yeah, it's all laid out in the ordinance, so I can attach that to the email.
Yeah, it would be good for any renter.
I feel like this is a good time for an update, just as people are planning things for next year and what have you.
And I think there was some confusion back in the spring too, because there were not-for-profits, and then there was a school corporation who has a totally different.
Yeah, that, we
There's
separated
Yeah,
those.
we separated those, and I think that could be a part of the confusion.
See what they call intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental
Interlocal agreement.
Oh, that's it,
Yeah,
interlocal.
there we go.
Interlocal
It'll take only
agreement.
3 of us, but we got her.
And that still hasn't been pounded out really well yet either, so, but that's coming from the school, so.
And the confusion with that one is every booster club thinks that they're part of the school system.
Right.
You know, it needs a little bit of work too. But I will be sending that out, and I'll copy Scott so he has a copy of it too, and that way, if people have questions, it's a good time now to bring them up
Right.
because, you know,
So what is going to be her bill then?
It is right there, the 261.50,
I didn't see it.
there at the bottom of the letter.
Yeah,
The first,
that's right.
first top, very last line in that letter.
Oh,
Because she also didn't pay for 11
linens.
linens, but,
And we'll be more upfront about that as well, because we don't make a profit on those tablecloths. We lose money. So for you to order more than you're gonna use and you just expect to not pay for them because you thought that they were off black or whatever.
I think if you.
We don't have any control over the quality, we don't
Right.
have any control over, you know, how they show up in our building.
I think if they ask for so
It's just a
many
service.
and you order so many, that's how many they pay for, whether they use them or not.
And if they want to do that,
Okay.
then we'll suggest that maybe they should order them
Their own.
on their own
Mhm.
from a different company.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with any other event.
Yeah.
They order 20, they get 20, they pay for 20.
Yes.
But,
Regardless if they use 5,
yeah.
you know.
Okay, and I think we need to stick to that.
Yeah.
Because we're not in the business of providing that. Okay, we're doing them a favor. So, okay, but yeah, they're gonna end up owing only 261.50 out of the 1,200 that they should really owe. So, alright. Send that through, hopefully that'll start clearing some more up on the confusion on that. Okay, anybody have anything else to add for that? Okay. All right, our next issue is the IPA storage issue. That relates to the LED lights, correct?
Yeah,
Everybody know about those?
Did you guys get that email in your packet? Did I
No.
include
No.
I got an email from Carla Beard with the IPA. She sent photos of some of, I'll back up because some of you may not know this. Before I started in this position, there was an arrangement worked out that the Imagine Performing Arts group could store their theater lighting, stage, just a lot of equipment. I don't even know what all this, props, big
Sound
wooden
equipment.
cutouts. It's all,
Scrims, backdrops.
it's stored in the basement of the Roberts Building. I don't know if anybody's been down there. You guys, are you familiar with? So there's the big room, and then there's what used to be a kitchen. That kitchen is almost entirely full of their materials. And then there's another room off the south side of the gym, or I call it a gym, that's what it looks like to me,
It's the basement.
basement.
Yeah.
And that room is entirely full of their materials. So we've provided them ample storage space. Unfortunately, someone went to the basement and looks like they just flung paint over their materials. Then Cindy Perez sent an email. Oh, I responded to Carla, and we have had an issue with a particular homeless person in the park. I talked with our grounds crew. We did not have any damage to the building. I don't know if this, my initial thought, and I said to Carla, it could be this homeless person that has been kind of hanging around the park. So the next few days later, Cindy Perez sent an email to the park email that Mackenzie got. I must have just sent it on to Scott, I apologize. And apparently they had some lights that were stolen that they received, that they purchased with grant funding. I guess they were $2,000 some lights. And I was asked, what am I going to do about it? And I said, I'm not going to do anything. It's not my property. We've provided a free place for you to store your items. And, if there was damage to the building, that would be an insurance claim. But as far as the park is concerned, we don't have, any responsibility in the situation. We regret that it happened. What concerned me about Cindy's email was that she said that they had examined the footprints, that there were footprints in the paint. I don't know. She said it looked like a child's footprint. I don't like that connotation being brought up. I feel like it's starting to turn the story into, well, the park let kids down there and the kids damaged this, implying that now we're going to try to turn this free storage space into damage that we now want you to reimburse us for. So the more I've thought about it, I think we're at a place where we need to ask the IPA to move their things to their own facility, because we cannot guarantee its safety. We certainly can't be held responsible if it's damaged. We certainly have enough issues keeping our own property safe and damage-free. And I just did not like where that was headed. And just in reality, we aren't a storage facility. We really shouldn't be, just holding somebody's things anyway. But again, it's one of those things that was already going on, and, it was just
I'm assuming that that area down there has doors that are locked, and so the public does not have access, direct access to that storage area.
No, just the exterior doors of the building lock. I mean,
You can
that
walk
room
downstairs,
itself,
just
yeah.
there
If
it
you
is.
can get in the building, you can get in the basement.
Okay.
But,
Did you have a conversation with Cindy?
no.
And I think another thing, when that agreement was made with them, I think at the time they didn't have their own building either.
They still don't.
They still
Okay, so that's why, you know,
And they do, they have their performances in the Roberts Building.
Right.
I understand. But this situation has made me think about it a little bit differently. You know, what if the building caught on fire? What if,
Well,
I
did,
don't know.
did they have any kind of, for lack of a better word, renter's insurance? Because if the building were to catch on fire, they would lose everything if they didn't have some sort of insurance on that. And since technically they're not a renter, it could be, you know, it could be a difficulty on them as well as us.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as these, you know, loose agreements with, you know, the Hope Center, you know? Like, it just feels like another situation where we need to,
I think you need to have a conversation with them.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that should have happened. When you
Well-
got that email?
and that's fine. But the overall issue is, do you guys want to store, it could be anybody. You know, is this something that we should be doing at all?
well, as regular renters, the IPAs, you know, they provide, or they pay their fees, but they don't pay for the storage space.
Well,
And then, on the other hand, there's, you know, they don't have insurance either. I mean, it's a theater group, and
I know.
I'm recusing myself.
well, I mean, I can understand why they want it there, because that's where they have all their
Yeah,
performances.
it's a-
So it'd be terrible to take it somewhere and then bring it all back and take it out.
And frankly, finding another place to put it would not be easy at all.
Well, finding another place to even do a performance.
Performance,
But on
no.
our side, we
You know,
should
and then-
probably charge for the storage space. I mean, make it a, you know, it is
Okay,
it's
if
a
we go to
favor, and it's a
start,
good thing,
if we
but
go to start charging for the storage space, we're becoming a storage facility, okay?
Right.
And that would mean we would have to open it up, I would imagine.
Because it is a
And
city-owned
if we're going to
facility.
charge them anything, that
And,
has to be added to the ordinance.
and then the other part to that is if we charge them for that storage space, that area of the Roberts Building, that would have to go under lock and key that they would only be able to access.
Right.
That would take our access, because then they're renting that space to store their stuff.
Right.
So that takes it away from, then, yes, we have access to it, but we have no, we can't use it for anything else because they're renting that space.
Right.
So if we decide we wanted to store whatever down there with their stuff, it would be impossible to do.
have we recently used that space for anything besides IPA?
No.
Has there been-
It hasn't been used for
Well, no, I mean,
anything.
before IPA took it,
Oh, I don't know, I wasn't.
No,
because I vaguely
Before
remember
before
going to the
IPA
kitchen.
They
used
used
it,
to rent it
they
out.
used it for, I know that the local, I forget who it was, the archery club, one of the archery people, they used to go down there and do archery down there, to teach archery to the kids, in that basement. But they haven't done that in a lot of years.
basically it was just dead space down there. That once they put the kitchen upstairs in the area where it is now and redid all of that, that basement became just basically the basement. It wasn't, they used to put, 4-H meetings used to be down there years and years and years ago, but that'd probably be 30, 40 years ago now.
I think we're walking a fine line by trying to justify whether or not they should keep it there. That's the hard part right now. I get it. That's where they perform. That's where they need their stuff. But like I said, it's one of those situations, exactly what just happened. We can't guarantee the safety of that stuff, of all their product in that building, Because if it gets broken into and say the top gets destroyed and everything in the bottom gets taken, okay, we have recourse to turn it into insurance to fix what happened upstairs. We
don't-
have no insurance to cover what is downstairs.
No.
Now, that ought to be part of the, whatever it is, the contract, that they, if they
I don't
catch
think-
stuff, they gotta have insurance.
I don't think we have the right to give them that. That would fall back to the city council, board of works, all that other stuff. That would not fall on us. We can't, as
I
a,
can't just make
Right.
some different contract
right,
with them.
with,
No.
as a governing body over the park
It's
system,
an
we
event
can't
rental
come up with that.
facility.
That has to go through,
That would have to go, if they want to use that facility for their stuff and want to actually rent it for some, whatever is agreed upon, then they would have to have sole access to it, but that would have to go through the Board of Works.
right, all that stuff. Anything we do here, if we decide to take an ordinance on, it still has to go back to the city council and the board of works. They're the ones that decide whether or not that's feasible. I don't think they would agree to that. I don't think they would want to have that, I know they wouldn't want to have that responsibility.
But
I
on
would
the other,
imagine that if you allow one entity to
That's the other thing.
use your space for storage, then you have to make it equally accessible to all entities. And
Right.
then there has to be some kind of crazy application. I mean, I don't know where it would go.
No,
Maybe,
you really,
but I'm really trying to make things, I'm not trying to nitpick, but it's like these contracts with the nonprofits, and it's like, you know, some of the other issues we've been dealing with the last couple of years. I just feel like things are too much in the gray, and they need to be more in the black and white, because it makes our jobs very difficult when, I mean, who knows, we could get a call tomorrow from the Hope Center that says, well, we have our purse bingo and we want to store things in the Miller building for 3 months before purse
Right.
bingo because it would be convenient for us, and we know you let IPA do it, so it just makes things hard because, you know, it does go both ways.
I think at this point in time, we have to ask them to move their stuff. Okay? Number one, we can't protect it well enough. We do not have a presence there to make sure that nothing happens to that building. We worry about that all the time anyway, about the vandalism that happens to the park on a regular basis, and that's the stuff we do see. So there's no police presence there. Those locks aren't, I mean, you can pound those doors hard enough and go right in. So I think for safety purposes and for just the fact that the cost of what they have down there, we
I
can't
had no
replace
idea
it.
they had lights worth $2,000 down
Yes.
the theater. And
Yeah,
sound-
but you know, it's
there
not
was-
something and I don't mean to make it about what somebody said in an email. That just made me sit and think about it more.
It makes you worry
Yeah.
that they're going a different route.
Well, and I don't, this is not sitting well with me. Any of this conversation, it's not, because the IPA is such a unique, wonderful asset to our community that we need to be working with and having conversations with them to try to figure out, hey, and maybe, yeah, we've got to figure out in our community, there are not that many resources available to organizations who don't have any money, to organizations who are a creative group that have built these stage systems by themselves, and they have nowhere to store them. And yes, it's a big problem. And I understand that, you know, the Roberts building is not in that business or whatever, but that we need to work as a team if this community is going to thrive and be exceptional. We need to all be on the same page, and we need to all be working towards the same creative outlet goals to give our community members more of this.
But how do we make that work within the parameters
We
know,
need to,
but-
I mean, like
Let's talk about it.
brainstorming sessions. I mean, I don't think that we can sit here and say, no, you cannot store your stuff here because it's not, we're not gonna open it to everybody. I think that we need to say, let's investigate this a little bit more.
But
Let's
I
figure
don't-
that out. Let's
don't-
let's kind of come together.
I don't disagree with you on that. I don't at all. I agree. We're here to help our community. But the problem we have is that we're also forced down a certain path because of all the different ordinance and the rules and regulations that apply to us. That's what we have to look at, unfortunately.
Right, but can we sit down and say, okay, like, what is it that we
can't.
can do? What
There's-
can we do?
Right? There's
How
only so
can
much
we
we
help?
can do.
How, like, where is it that we can offer some assistance? What is it that we can do? Not, here are all the rules and regulations and you have to move out.
Well,
What can, how can we help?
Talk to the city too.
right. And say
You know?
that's,
I mean, because that is, if you look at the productive cities, the ones who are really making a difference in this world, and that's what we want to be, is that type of a community where we have theater and where we have adults and children with imaginations to help us grow. How do we get there? We have organizations like the IPA. And how do we make them thrive? We all come together and work as a community to help them get there.
And maybe sitting down, talking, I know you lost $2,000 worth of stuff. Well, how many lights they take?
don't know.
Don't know.
You know?
But
They-
All of them.
But, I understand too that maybe the way they come across, it sounds like, like I want you to pay for it and all that. But I do agree with you. We got to do something. You just can't say no. I mean, there's got to be a way to talk to them.
No, and I don't think we can't not talk to them.
It's really,
It's a tough one.
it's a
Because
really,
the other
it's a
issue-
really tough situation. But imagine players used to put on their performances in the fellowship hall of my church. And it simply was not a large enough venue, and they didn't really have a stage. And it's grown since then, and moving up to the Roberts Building has been very positive for them. They've gotten more people involved. So,
Well, it's going to be a long conversation with that group, because the other issue is, with our rental policy, they have, they typically use, how long did they use the Roberts Building last month for the hullabaloo?
Oh, well, that was just last
2 days.
week and but they,
They were in there for like
They
a
were in
week.
there.
Yeah,
for a
the
week.
setup and everything, yeah.
with their setup, rehearsal, the 2 days for the show, and then that Sunday they come and tear everything down.
And
So
that
they
could
were
be
there
as
for 7
easy
days.
as, they go and that's a city-sponsored thing. I don't know. I don't know the answers, but I do know that our job is to look out for the park.
And
And unfortunately, that just always has to be the lens that I look through. Because, I feel like it does kind of, I don't want to hinder our community.
There's two things though. You want to look out for the park and provide the facilities that the park does. It's a wonderful, wonderful space, and it's made possible because of things like the Miller Building in the basement and the IPA, but also because of the horse barns or the track or the whatever else. We've got a wonderful and just simply picnic areas and all that, walking space. It's just, it's great. And that's just Roberts Park. We're not talking about Second Street Park or Offutt's Park or all the others. We really have a wonderful facility that we offer the community. And part of that is not just to me and my family to walk around, and to picnic and to have things, but things like the IPA or the,
Because, for better or worse, we are not the IPA's home.
no, you're not.
We aren't. We aren't their production facility.
No.
I think we provided a good service, But this instance is really, I honestly didn't think two things about it until this happened. And then it made me reconsider, is this a good idea?
Well, as the group that does watch out for the park, I mean, that's what we have to do. We can't afford with our budget, because we're nonprofit as well. We can't back that. That's where I'm at. We can't say, okay, sorry about your stuff, we'll get to take it care of. And we just can't. We don't have it. And to leave it there and to know that somebody has broken in and stolen something, well, who's to say it's not going to happen again, even though we put a different lock on the door or we put something else there. So that's another issue we have. We don't have a safe space.
Well, since I need to talk with Jeff about some other things, why don't I talk to him about this too? And see if there is some kind of workaround where we have, I don't know what it would be, but I feel at the very least we need to lay something down on paper that says, just so we all understand,
Yeah, but
you know, if a child goes down in the basement who's at the park for some event and tears everything up, you know, that's still on you guys. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Because
The other thing I'd like to do is what you brought up about talking to Cindy. I'll email her.
okay.
See if maybe I can have a sit down with her. See what solution they have. Is it somewhere in between that maybe the park can help with? At this point in time, you know, like I said, I don't disagree with you at all. But I still have to, as part of this board, I still have to watch out for the park. That's my main goal. And so I will be more than happy to talk to her.
since they've been up there, this is the only time that anything's happened, isn't it?
That I know of.
That we know of.
So
Yes.
we can't let one thing
Well, but
throw out everything.
But
I think we need, it kind of,
sometimes that one thing is what is the start of something that tells us we need to get better control.
Exactly.
Okay, rather than something big. It's like the horse on the paddock, up there on top of the hill. That one thing could lead to something really, really bad. So, I think we need to, I'll talk to her. Have a sit down with her and see if there is an option to go somewhere. I don't know where. I don't have an answer for that. But I do know that we do have to watch out for what happens in there. Because the park can't use their insurance to cover it. The park can't take it out of their budget to cover what they lose. And if it ever heads that way, we're stuck. They're stuck too, because they won't be able to get any money out of us. So, let me contact, I've got Cindy's email now, because you sent that to me, so let me contact her. So that way, maybe we can get the answers that we need. Okay? Does everybody agree with that? Is everybody okay with
Yeah,
that?
I think we need to reach out to them because I agree with Carrie that if we have parks and they're just for the sake of the park, it has to be used by the people and it has to be something that is going to be sustainable and usable and user-friendly. And making that user-friendly sometimes is
Maybe we can get the city to build them a stage and a building, and that
no,
way they
I
can
don't
just
think
have
that's
their own
going to happen.
space.
It's an independent organization, I mean, they're gonna move on that way.
Wouldn't that be
It's
nice?
a-
Wouldn't that be nice?
it's a
would be
weird
nice,
relationship
You know?
there.
But yes,
Other cities have done that.
they have, so.
Big, huge music halls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's something else I can do. I can reach out to some other superintendents and say, hey,
See what you do.
do you guys ever do something like this for other people? If so,
Yeah. Let's
do
find
you
out if they're.
formalize it, or is it just
Make
a
them do
handshake,
Shakespeare in the
or,
park.
Yeah.
you know, what is it?
I don't think Connersville's ready for Shakespeare in the Park.
I mean,
Yeah.
because we're just, I feel like we go from the one, like, we were just saying, oh, well, we're not gonna send this person an eviction letter because you didn't send them a written notice.
Right,
But now we're talking about this, and it's like, but we don't wanna put that in writing.
yeah.
So,
I'm a little,
that's why I say we're walking this line of, okay, what do we do for sure? And unfortunately, it goes back to you talking about the gray areas, okay? Being a government entity, we can't, unfortunately, everything's gray until it's not, and then somebody loses.
and then they
So,
come back and say, why did you let this,
right,
let this group have all this expensive stuff down there?
right.
Well, I don't know.
So,
Well, it's the horse barns, for me, I just imagined this, but if somebody went over at night, shot a horse, killed it in the stall, you know, it's the same kind of thing as what the IPA's storage.
Gosh, man, that's awful.
it's,
No, it's
But-
awful, that's what I'm saying.
but the difference in that one is they have an
Whoa.
agreement with the park that is signed, and they are paying for the use of that.
Exactly.
And that's what those
we
buildings
need.
are,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, we don't have that storage space for stuff that they're wanting to have.
Well, we
And
do.
it
That's the
takes up
difference.
The
storage
basement of the
space
Miller building,
from
and it's,
us.
you know, it's useful.
Well, the horse barns are labeled horse barns.
Yeah.
The Roberts building is not labeled the Imagine Performing Arts building.
No, but it's.
So- That's the difference, and that's where you'll run into problem with city council and board of works. Okay, they won't agree to that, I would almost bet. So, you can try it, but
No, we should.
Well-
But that's where, let's start the conversation. And that way, we have all our Ps and Qs in order before we do start that conversation with the government of the city of Connersville. Okay?
I bring this stuff to the agenda to discuss with you all first. Because it's why you're here as board members, is to voice your different opinions and lead to different solutions. But also because the minute I mention anything at the Board of Works or City Council, the first question is, have you discussed this with Park Board?
Right.
So, that's why I put these kinds of things on our agenda.
All right, we'll table the issue until we get more information. So that way, I'll see to it that gets put on the agenda next month. So that way we can have maybe some more information to share and maybe have some better ideas to bring. Okay? Everybody okay with that? Okay, good. All right. Dennis, you're up.
Well, we just finished up with the fall soccer and the machine pitch
First
softball.
and third
Both of them are
at one.
about the same as last year as far as numbers and everything went. And then we're getting ready to start up November the 6th, the girls' youth basketball from 1st to 6th grade, which we end up with 135 girls sign up for that. And we also will have mixed league volleyball. That's sign-ups for that until November 26th. And then that'll be all we'll have going on for now. The rest of the sports that are coming up probably won't start till after the first of the year.
What do you anticipate the volleyball numbers looking like?
I couldn't tell you because last year it wasn't, a lot of people thought it was just COVID, but last year it wasn't just COVID. There was only 2 teams signed up last season for the volleyball. So I don't know. There's been 10
What's
teams
that look?
before.
What's that?
There's been
What's that league look like? Like, what do they? Tell me about it.
the Coed League.
Mm-hmm.
It's just supposed to consist of guys and girls, mixed teams,
Mm-hmm.
and they're coming in, depends on how many teams there are, they're coming in and playing for usually 45 minutes, because they just play the best 2 out of 3 matches, sets. And
Once a week.
Yeah,
What,
once a week.
like what time? Like give me the whole.
Like
rundown.
Wednesdays is the day for that,
Okay.
and they would come in, let's just say 5, and it just depends on how many teams there are as to how late to 3 or 4 games, because you can't go too late, because everybody's still got to work
Yeah.
and stuff. But like I said, other than that, if there's 4 or 6 teams, you're looking at 3 games a week for each of them.
Okay.
And well, I mean, for that 1 week,
Mhm.
and it'll probably average out to be somewhere around 10 games for their season, 10 games in a tournament.
How many people, like, what's it look like in the past?
Well, that's what it's been in the past. It is, like I said, it's been 10 teams before. It's been 4 or 5 teams. It's been up and down, but it's kind of like everything else. It's been at a slow trend downward because it don't hardly ever go back up. It's like 5 years ago there might.
What's
have
it
been
cost to put together a team
$180.
per team?
Yes.
How many people can you have on your team?
6 to 12.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of them try to go with six or 7, but a lot of them try to go with 6. But that's another one of the problems with that league is I don't know if it's because it's adults or what.
And do you have a ref?
We've had a ref in the past. I don't know if we'll continue to have a ref because it's harder to get one now, and it's just a rec league to begin with. It's pretty easy for them to come in and play, call their own or ref themselves. But at the same time, it's like the commitment is what I say is the biggest problem. Because the volleyball is played 6 on 6, and it's mixed, but on average, when you want to describe the league, there is probably, in the past 3-4 years, most of the games end up being like maybe 4 on 4. People just don't show up.
Can't,
They just
yeah,
don't come.
can't. How long of a season did you say it was?
10 games and a tournament.
So 10
So-
weeks?
Yeah, but it could be shorter, all depends on because sometimes if there's only 4 teams, sometimes we can double up and have some double headers for that one week. And of course, everybody that does play needs to be 16 or older,
Okay.
because it is an adult league.
Do they get a t-shirt? Do you get
Yes,
t-shirts? Do you
yes,
do
the parent-
t-shirts?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have like team sponsors and stuff, or do they come with their own?
They do on their own. If
They
they
do,
can
okay.
get one,
Get
they
their
can.
own
If they don't,
sponsors.
most of them, they usually end up pitching in with each other and going from there.
Okay.
They get their own sponsors.
Okay.
And
Well,
even
I
though
think
it's
one
an
of the
adult
is-
league, there's still no drinking during games.
Correct.
Well, yeah, it's in the park, no drinking.
Yeah.
I think one of the issues has been scheduling things because playing on Wednesday night, there are certain Wednesdays that you just don't, it makes it difficult to schedule because you don't schedule it the night before Thanksgiving because everybody's in the Spartan Bowl watching. And then with a lot of the parents that are playing have kids that are also playing in different kinds of things.
Oh, yeah, right, but I can't
You can't
schedule an adult league around everybody.
You can't schedule an adult league around
Yes.
everybody.
It's kind of like that thing, you sign up to play, it's on Wednesdays, just like you said, the same thing with the basketball game that everybody wants to go watch. There's like a choice. You're an adult. Do you want to go watch a game or do you want to play your game that you signed up for? I mean, if it's a holiday, that's one thing, but just for a random game, you don't really schedule around those.
And what's the deadline?
November 26th.
24.
Oh, 24th?
24th.
Yeah.
Is that the Friday?
Yeah, because
Oh,
remember
yeah,
we
you're
talked
right.
26th is the Friday after Thanksgiving, so we bumped it up to Wednesday.
Yeah,
right
because the
before
park will not be open, that's right.
All right.
Sorry, Alex.
That's okay. That's all right.
Well, it just seems, there's not a whole lot of adult physical activity,
Right.
that's something that,
There's only
Yeah,
two,
this-
there's only two, the men's league basketball and the
Right.
church league basketball.
right,
But other than that, it's.
softball, you do
they're-
softball.
Yeah, but that's what, they're all going way down.
Right, yeah.
And we'll open up men's league, and then we'll get comments, why don't you have women's? And we put out some surveys or, we put feelers out, but we just didn't get enough women that would sign up. So that's why we don't
Right.
have a women's
No, I mean, this
league.
is really cool, the mixed league volleyball, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, for
you know,
basketball.
right, basketball, but,
Yeah.
It's fun.
mhm.
It's fun.
Yeah, 'cause that's pretty much what it's, that's the better league for the mixed. Basketball, that's the one thing that's where they were trying to do that was, there was 3, 4 women that were playing in the church leagues. And then they were, them 1 or 2 that always want to continue to play more, and, you know, there's nothing that says they can't play on one of the men's league teams, but it's just a lot rougher of a game for a lot of the women, especially when they're just throwing 1 or 2 in with everybody. And then, like she said, we never can get enough to just have just a women's league. That's kind of like, that's where the softball went to. There used to be a women's softball league, but it just came down to pretty much where, actually, it's when the transition was, it went from no women's league, but then the Coed League at one time was a bigger, because they could all, you know, they couldn't get 9 or 10 to fill a full team of softball, but then they could put 4 or 5 and then get 4 or 5 guys and still form Coed. But other than that, that's about it for now.
Okay. All right, thanks, Dennis. Catherine, what do you got for us tonight?
The additional appropriation for the pool was approved,
Very good.
so we are moving forward with those repairs. They have a projected start time of April, so hopefully we will open on time, but that will depend on getting the liner replaced. We are not going to open before that gets replaced. We just, it doesn't make sense to do that. So, we've wrapped up several events. The Key Fabers had their annual vet clinic. You said you raised $21.55?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
So that's quite a bit of money to put toward the bark parks. We also wrapped up the Jack-o'-lantern jaunt. That was a really big event. Another good success with that event. We raised almost $1,000, and that money goes toward the trails. The gym door at the Miller Building should be fixed this week, the one that was broken. By somebody that ran around one night and broke a bunch of windows on the north side. The parking lot lights at the Miller Building are fixed. And Ben Houston said that the new speakers at the amphitheater will be in by the end of October, so hopefully those will be in. He said they would be in before our last derby, which is the first Saturday of November, so looking forward to that. At 2nd Street, I just received the updated, I asked for new budgets for 2nd Street, so we have plans A, B, and C, and I just saw his email come through before this meeting, so next time I'll be able to update you guys on, you know, where the budget stands. We have gotten 2 very large gifts this week, and that puts us just under $90,000 that we've raised. A lot thanks to Carrie.
And a team, that
Yeah.
Very good.
great team of committee members.
So that is moving along pretty well. Let's see.
We will have a PayPal link going live here soon, right?
Hopefully this week
For the
to give online.
to give online. So you can write a check if you'd like to donate to the project and mail it to the Miller Building. Or you can wait for that PayPal link and donate right online. We'll have that on Facebook soon, that you all can share and spread and ask your neighbors to help us get 2nd Street Park.
Get those board donations in.
Yeah. So.
I know we don't bring up River's Edge a lot. There's been quite a bit of work going on behind the scenes since I started and since Harold and Chad changed places. We do have, we have been working on financing and designs for the park, and that stuff is going to be coming to City Council before the end of the year. So I'm really looking forward to getting that back out and, you know, in the public eye, being able to update with finalized plans for that. The fountain seems to be working still, so I think our couple $100 worked. So that's good news.
With River's Edge, are we still shooting for a projected spring
It
groundbreaking?
depends on how quickly the financing gets approved.
Okay,
So I would say since if it gets approved before the end of the year, yes.
okay,
We would be looking at 2024 because now the rest of the park could open, but the ball fields, because the grass has to grow and establish for a season, just the way the timing would work, that the ball fields wouldn't open until 2024.
okay.
So it still seems like a long time away, but there has been a lot of movement. It just hasn't been in the newspaper or on Facebook or things like that.
Okay.
So for next time, I will be updating you on 2nd Street, and I also want to we're getting toward the end of the year. I want to go back through our goals that we had established. We looked at them last time, I think in June. The pool knocked us down. We weren't sure how much money we were going to have, so we'll be looking at our goals and working on a nice presentation for our end of the year report, so we can show some before and afters. I don't feel like I did a very good job with that last year. I don't think when we present that to City Council, I really want to really show how much the park has accomplished in this short amount of time. So I really want to spend a better amount of time preparing that. And then we need to decide what do we want to do in the last 2 months of the year and with our last portion of our budget. So those are things we'll need to be doing, and I know Jeff isn't with us tonight, but his last meeting will be in December. And Amy Hammonds has agreed to come on the board, so I'm really looking forward to working with her. And so she'll be sworn in January, and then she'll start with us on the park board. So already feels like the year's winding down.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Kathleen. All right, move on. Anybody got any old business to bring up? Okay. All right, we'll move on. Miscellaneous business. All right, then we need to get a motion to pass claims, including payroll.
So move.
Have a first. Anybody second? Got a second? All those in favor of agree to claims, including payroll, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, claims passed. Nobody in the public tonight? All right. Need that motion.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
You got a move and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.